Hello everybody and welcome back to another video vlog thing series. I don't know what to call it yet, more of just me just talking. Before I get into the topic of the video, I would like to answer some of the comments that were in the last video, because I kind of want to make this a thing, kind of give people more engagement into the idea of commenting on these, that I could answer the questions that you guys have answered for me. First one is a real simple one, is Moon Animations. Thanks for the bra. And the next one would be Emanations, aka Emily. Hi, Emily. I prefer longer videos, maybe 20 to 40 minutes long. Thank God. I really appreciate the go ahead because I tend to talk for a very long time, and having more time to talk about things will be much appreciated. Now to the topic of the video. I would like to talk about Gregory and mostly Freddy. That's one of the reasons why I started drawing this picture as well. I like to keep my pictures themed to whatever project. Now I won't do that all the time, but I'll try to keep it that way as least for the next few videos. Funny enough, I did see MatPat's video on the They're All Afton. Well, that's what the thumbnail said. I think the actual title is Don't Trust Gregory. Um, Now, before anybody gets any ideas, this is not a debunking. This is not a, you know, take that MatPat kind of video. If you're starting to get that vibe from where I'm going with this is not what that is. Stop that. If anything, I'm just using his theory to kind of springboard my thought process of what Gregory is, well, at least what I think Gregory might be. In fact, I don't actually think the video is actually that bad. There are some parts of it that make me go, you might be pushing that. But then again, what FNAF theorist has never pushed a subject to a point that make you go, bruh? I mean, I'm still obsessed with the whole newspaper situation. Um, I get that it's super, like, even the picture itself is a silhouette and it's super vague, and then I think there's, like, one other kid that kind of looks like him, but I'm just sitting here going, like, I don't know, guys. I'm pretty confident that that picture is supposed to solidify that he is one of the kids that went missing. I'm still shocked that no one has even at least pointed it out to correct people on it if they think they are wrong about it. I'm just shocked that nobody has pointed this out except me, and I feel crazy. I feel like I'm the only one that sees the dancing rabbit in the room every time I see this thing. Once again, I think MatPat's video is actually pretty good, or at least I get where he's coming from, at least trying to figure out this, using this thematic aspect of what's happening to kind of piece everything together. Because of the fact that I think a lot of the story was gutted out because of last minute decisions, uh, solid proof of things weren't put into the game, that a lot of it is very questionable, even for like that. I think that's why a lot of people feel that the game feels a little lackluster compared to most, because it's it has a lot more of non-solid answers. It gives you too many questions and not enough solid answers, compared to recent FNAF games, which I think that's why most people are a little frustrated of the direction this game went. I don't think that's what they were intended to, whatever story they had beforehand, before the game was gutted. Uh, but that's why everybody feels a little like, about a lot of, especially near the end of the game. But alas, that does not stop me from dissecting the lore, because I am a sad soul being that enjoys this mess. Look, I like stories that don't like to hold my hand. Now, FNAF is an extreme example of that. Like, because sometimes I feel like it leaves me in the middle of a forest and tells me to find my way back home with nothing but a can of beans. But at least it doesn't hold my hand when it comes to me putting together the pieces of the story that's what's happening. I can't help it. I like it. I also like to talk about the MatPat video because I know this is going to be a very popular theory for a while, and it was connected to the theory that I had, so it kind of meshes together. I do strongly suggest watching the video for context, because I'm just going to go offhand on making my comparisons from his video to mine, and unless you watch the video, you might be lost in my train of thought. So here we go. The biggest thing I would say that I agree on is that, or at least to an extent, I agree on the idea that Glamrock Freddy and Gregory are connected through the Afton family dynamic. I have a few smaller theories in my head that kind of go against it a little bit, but those aren't my favorite theories. I'm just kind of focusing on my favorite theory compared to Matt Pat's theory, which is once again his favorite theory. Get where I'm getting at with this? Okay. So Matt Pat's conclusion is that Gregory is secretly a robot. Especially, and I understand everybody's going to like this theory and everybody's going to be drawn to this theory if you've read the four, I keep calling them four, the three first books. I call them the Silver Eyes trilogy because that's the name of the first book. I don't know if there's like a particular name for the first three books. But I call them the Silver Eyes trilogy because they are contained within their own thing. Because I have to remind people that those books are a what if story. They're a completely different timeline. All the characters from the games are in that book, in the sense of like the characters in the books are connected to the games, but their circumstances, motives, and events that happen to them are completely different in the games compared to these books. Because it is technically canon because it's a different timeline. Okay? Everyone's read enough Marvel to know what that means. So there's a strong possibility that they're not going with the robot angle because the whole point of this being a what if story is to do that concept. I think that was the point of why he wanted to make those books, is that he had a particular concept, but he realized it didn't really work in the games, and he had so many other things that were going on in the story. He's all like, well, what if I rearranged a few things and then I could do this and be cool and it'd be awesome. At least that's what I think. I could be completely wrong. I'm not in the man's head, aka Scott, in this scenario that I just brought up. I could be wrong about that, but I'm just pointing that out there to make that like a possible reason. Number two, this is the biggest one for me personally, only because of the fact that if we go with the possibility that this is a thing that the series can do now, right? But I think the whole point of spoilers, Charlie is a robot at the end of the books, is that I think the focus, at least why that's a thing, is that we only know for a fact that Henry can do that. It was kind of a big factor in that sense because they made it very, very clear in the books that William can't do it. It was more, I think, we know for a fact William was super jealous of Henry's genius. And I think because William knew Henry could do things he couldn't, and that could have been one of them. I don't know if not Henry. I don't know if William knew exactly the extent of what Henry's ability were, but he knew he knew that Henry was better than him when it came to the illusion of resurrecting life. I think that was the point between the two characters, is that Henry is 10 million times better at illusions of resurrecting life. That's how Charlie's existence as a robot was, existence as a person was so convincing compared to, say, William's robots, where there was always like this weird factor that made it like almost convoluted to disguise the illusion. And then you had, like I said, Henry over here that can just literally make a person's... The only thing he couldn't do was make it gradually grow up, but everything else was so convincing that this person was a real person. The only thing he had to do was make a different body every time, because I don't know how Henry did it, but he could transfer the soul into a new body. Maybe it was a terrifying experience every time he did it. I don't know, but he did it. And I think that was the whole factor, is that Henry had the ability to do that. not William. And I think that was the point of why William was so frustrated in himself when it came to Henry. Like, he's so jealous of that man, um, that drove him to do things. We all know what those things were. Hold up. Wait a minute. Time out. Side tangent here. William had to have known that Henry was capable of resurrecting life the way that he did, because William killed Charlie. So of course, so like, and then suddenly just Charlie's just alive, and no one, like, just everyone's okay with it. And I'm just like, William had to see Charlie and go, oh, he's so much better at this than I am. I hate him. Oh, he had to have known. He had to have known. Like, and it also makes sense how he talked to Charlie, how he looked at her. Like, it was just, I mean, it was creepy. And now with this context that I'm just realizing because I'm an idiot, I was like, oh, that makes, and that's why Circus Baby was so jealous of her. That's where the jealousy came from, because compared to her, she looks like a cheap knockoff compared to what Charlie is, and I would not be shocked. I would not put past William Afton to make that very clear, how that's how he felt about his daughter, whether it be intentionally or unintentionally, like just constantly just reminding her that she is a cheap knockoff in comparison to what he actually wanted to accomplish with his own daughter that he can't do compared to Charlie. God, I just feel dumb realizing this while I'm recording, so I'm just like, just ignore this. This is just me having a stupid realization that most people probably figured out by now. God dang it. Now, this one I kind of have to put up a white flag on, is the Fazbear Frights books, only because I haven't finished them. I only got up to the fourth book, so I don't know the ending, and it's fine that I spoiled myself watching that Pat video. It took me way too long to finish the series in the first place because I completely forgot it wasn't even in existence. By the time I found out it was a thing, it was over. So I was just like, ooh, I probably should read those. Now, in those books, the Fazbear Fright books, as far as I've been told, that they are canon to the game timeline. Okay, so, and there's this whole big epilogue uh, part of the series, which is basically like a fourth story in every book that's connected to a whole big story, connected, like weaving all the books together, right? And he's talking about that. Now, I can only go by what Matt Pat described how that happened, and it's one of those things you just have to read the books. Don't always rely on other people trying to explain how that happened. You just got to rely on your own gut feeling of what the hell just happened while you were reading. So anyway, even how he described it doesn't necessarily say that William knows how to do that. He doesn't know how to make, I guess, how would you describe Charlie's design? The ultimate illusion. I guess that's how I'm gonna call it. I'm just gonna call her the pinament of illusion of resurrecting life. Um, I don't think I don't know. It's just like how the stories go. I think that's the point. Is that there are people that could do it in roundabout ways, and even then, technically, how Matt Pat describes it, that is not how Charlie worked. This sounds like a completely different thing, and once again, it sounds like a completely different guy did it. So I don't even know if, once again, I don't know if William still has the ability to do it. I don't think William's cracked this code yet. And once again, I think that's the point of his character, is that he has not cracked the code, and he's lived in his own personal hell because of it. Because he's been obsessed with it. Now, that only leads to my conclusion of why I don't think Gregory is a robot. Because I keep going back to the fact that I don't necessarily think that William, even in this game series timeline, has the ability to make a human robot. At least a convincing looking one. But I do think, thanks to the VR aspect that he's been now manipulating through death, is the VR. and transferring souls within living people instead of robots. I think he's discovered something that's even better, at least from William's point of view, that he's discovered the, like, forget robots, chuck those in the garbage. We got humans now. So the only side effect that he's dealing with is that when he transfers a soul into a living human body, um, there becomes a dual personality situation that happens because he can't seem to get rid of the person that was alive that he transferred the soul into, aka Vanessa, the test subject, the model of his new invention toy thing going on here. It's very unsettling because by the time we see all the discs, we're basically pretty confident that we're dealing with Vanny and Vanessa sharing the same body, and especially with the details of those CDs, it's very, very clear at this point that this Vanny is actually Elizabeth, aka Baby, aka William Afton's daughter. So, in this story, I think we can confirm that William has finally discovered his own roundabout way of resurrecting life. There's still some side effects that he has to deal with, but he's working on it. And I think this is where the Gregory child comes in, because I'm still very confident he was one of the children that was kidnapped for this experiment to resurrect at least one other of his children, because we're very confident that he had at least three. And and I'm pretty sure Gregory was the test subject to put in the crying child soul into. And I think the reason why they kidnapped several children is to try and get, because I don't think William knows exactly what kind of person he needs in order for it to work, because it was obvious in Help Wanted that we discovered, well, after this game, we discovered that the character that we play in Help Wanted is obviously Vanessa. And from Vanessa's experiences in the game, it sounds like at least one other person died of him trying to transfer his daughter's soul into, or maybe try to transfer himself into at one point. Um, so there, I think the point is, even though he figured it out, there's a bit of a trial and error in the process. So that's probably why he kidnapped more than just one child to just do it. Um, and now, when it comes to Gregory, here is the thing, because we don't know enough about Gregory's situation to know for sure, is that either he is carrying the crying child's soul right now, and he possibly doesn't even know it, or at least understands that's what's happening, to he got away before that could happen. So, like, he looks like the crying child. He definitely doesn't act like the crying child. He looks like the perfect subject, but it hasn't actually happened yet. And the whole point of the game is to avoid that from happening. And that's why I think, like, he is and he isn't the crying child, is where I'm getting at here, is that there's a possibility that he might already have the crying child soul in him if they succeeded on transferring it before his escape. Um, or Gregory escaped before the transfer even happened, and they're still trying to get the transfer to happen because maybe William's pretty confident in the fact that this kid might be the key into transferring one of his children's soul into. Um, and that's basically where I stand on Gregory. Now, let's talk about the Fred Bear. Papa Bear, let's go. Okay, now this one, I agree, I am all over the place on. And once again, I do 100% agree thematically. I think all three main characters are connected to the three main Afton children. I guess what we disagree on our theories is the context of how this all comes together. That's fine. Theories are like that. Uh, Especially like me, where I don't really pin down like a particular theory. I just kind of have a few kind of just floating here and there. I have like a favorite and then like three other like possible conclusions, right? So so with Freddy is like the biggest one for me. Like I have like the tiny ones for Gregory that kind of debunk themselves the more I talk about them. So like I'm kind of stuck with kind of one right now. Freddy, on the other hand, he is kind of a bit of a open box right now, because I do really like the idea that Michael's soul is inside Glamrock Freddy. The only thing that makes me hesitate a little bit is uh, nothing in the game ever confirmed that, but also you can argue that mine and MatPath's theory never confirmed anything about the crying child ever being a thing for Gregory. So just putting that there. Now, as far as we know for sure, when it comes to Michael Afton, is the secret room that you find in the game, where it's just basically the sister location. So if Michael Afton's soul is not in Glamrock Freddy, there's some essence of him in that room. Like it's so painfully there. There's even like a thing where you could listen to CDs, like how he was gathering evidence in the game. I was just like, yeah, this is definitely Michael's room, okay? This is his ghostly presence trying to help us out in this game, and I like that. It was cool. Now, back to Freddy. So, MatPat points out the fact that he is like a missing piece of the puzzle in the sense that he doesn't appear in the game at any point. Like I said, besides maybe the secret room. But he also has to remember he's not the only person that died in that fire in that place, is Henry. Henry also died along with him. And there is a possibility, especially if we're going thematically, as the game has been implying that a lot of the answers is through thematics, is there's a lot of soul dueling. I keep using that word, but that's the way I describe it. Is that there's like a double personality. We got sunshine and moondrop, and then you have the Vanny situation. So like I feel like there's like more to that kind of thematic mindset in other stuff. Like I said, especially if like I said, if my theory is correct about the crying child situation, Greg was going to be another aspect, or he already is a person dealing with two souls. So there is a slight possibility that Glamrock Freddy is dealing with two souls. Now, he's either dealing with two souls, that the fact that he's Glamrock Freddy and Michael Afton, he's Glamrock Freddy and Henry, or he's Michael Afton and Henry. Um, See what I mean when I'm all over the place with this? It's like there's like these. I have three combinations of what Glamrock Freddy might be, and that's where I'm kind of stuck with him. There's three possibilities, and all of them I feel are pretty valid. So I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I guess technically, once again, thematically, I would say Michael's soul sharing an AI's personality would be the number one. Number two would be Michael and Henry sharing the souls with Glamrock Freddy. I guess technically you would count that as three if you count the AI having its own soul. And then the third one would be Henry sharing a soul with the AI Freddy. Um, that's kind of like my tier list of which ones I think are the most likely. Most likely being the first one and less likely being the third. Oh, I forgot one more. Um, there is one. It kind of breaks the thematic aspect of it just a little bit, but I also thought maybe Glamrock Freddy has the soul of the crying child. Phone, no! And as I was finishing recording with the last few minutes of closing thoughts, Daco decided to drop his FNAF theory. Just right now. And I just watched it. So you know what? I'm gonna play fair. I'm gonna give my take on his video as well. because that's kind of the point of this video, was to take a theory that people were talking about and discuss it and use another person's video as a way to kind of contrast my own. And this one isn't as big of a contrast, but it's big enough that I feel like I can discuss it. So what's another 15 minutes out of your life worth, right? It's like you came here to most likely do something in the background while listening to me. So we're just going to sit here while you're doing drawing or cleaning or whatever else you're doing, and we're going to talk about this. Because, like I said, I have my own contrast to this, so I would like to discuss it. Let's go. I am fully aware at the idea of making him a robot. Like, let's say we are all just missing the mark and he's actually a robot. Especially if he's a robot with the crying child soul, right? And um, and how Dako says in the video, he describes it as taking away his character. And I don't necessarily think that's I don't think that's a good take on it exactly. Because it would be going into a character that we never really knew besides one game, and compared to all the other siblings of the FNAF, well, not the FNAF, the William Afton family, he's the one that we know the less about, and it would be interesting to get to know the character more. Now, I still don't think that would be the best direction to go in, but I don't necessarily think the statement taking away his character is correct either, if that helps. But I do agree it would be better if we had that Gregory. That's why I'm very convinced that Gregory is a person that nearly had the same thing happen to him or has happened to him that Vanessa is going through. Vanessa, I've said this in my other video too, Vanessa is her own person stuck with one of the Afton children's souls. Now, technically, if we did give Gregory the crying child's soul, he'd be in the same position as Vanny. But if he is a robot, he's in the same position as Michael, if we're correct that he is in Glamrock Freddy. So technically, he could be either one of these two options in their same positions. Does that make sense? I hope that does, because it didn't sound any better coming out of my mouth. I guess what I'm saying is that he could be just a regular kid stuck in the pizzaplex. I personally believe that he's been one of the kids that's been kidnapped. I'm not really like, it's one of those things. I don't necessarily believe he might be an orphan. Mostly because of the fact of he's most likely the kid that's been kidnapped and he's been on the paper. So that's what I personally believe. I actually wouldn't mind if he had the child's soul. I understand it. I think the contrast with everybody having trouble processing is the idea is like, I think people would handle it better if he's still a human being, but I think people would like it if he was a human being and carrying the child's soul compared to being a robot with the child's soul. You know what I mean? At least that's what I think would be the better direction to go in. That way, maybe we get to know more about the crying child at some point later on. But he won't have the only difference between Vanny's situation and Vanessa and the Gregory and crying child would be that they would probably be more cooperative than and less like giving each other a hard time and not being manipulated by William Afton. That would be the biggest contrast between those two. I think the reason why people don't like the robot concept is because it's too similar to what Freddy is. Once again, if we're right about Freddy being Michael, their story is almost completely the same if we take that direction. I think that's what people are trying to kind of wrap their brain around when it comes to not liking the concept of robot, because we are able to accept it if it's Michael for some reason.
like, we're able to accept it because it's Michael, because he's already been kind of a robot for a pretty long time at this point in the series. So we're kind of comfortable at this point. Gregory's would be just like, why are we doing this again, kind of feeling. Um, it would kind of feel like this is the third time this has happened, you know? First it was Michael, then it's Charlie in the books, and then we go to Gregory. So it's like, maybe third time's not the charm, you know? Like, probably not. Let's not do that. But I'm one of those stupid people that that don't believe in dumb ideas, just bad execution. So at the time where we are in the story, if, like, say suddenly we just got revealed that he was a robot, it wouldn't be good. Um, but if we continue the story with Gregory, who knows? Maybe the next game has nothing to do with Gregory. But if we do continue the story with Gregory, um, if we got more information that might lead down the path of him being a robot, uh, our people's impression might change over time. That's the closest thing you're gonna get to me accepting the Gregory as a robot, is because right now in the story, the reason why, especially the biggest reason why I think people don't like it, is that if suddenly it just happens that we just find out that he's a robot without any further analysis or progression of the story that makes more sense around the road, is that um, it right now it would just come across as a twist to be a twist, to have shock value, not any other substance. Um, but if they could put substance into it, that'd be different. But where we stand right now, there is no reasonable substance to give us a good reason to like it. And like I said in the way back of this video, I've already sent all my uh, talks about the contradictions of, at least my personal contradictions of why he can't be a robot. Um, I know Daco did a couple, like with the whole showing the original lines and the new lines, that Freddy said he was bleeding. Once again, if you read the books, robot, Charlie Robot bled, and so that technically is a moot point, but um, someone, either Henry or someone like Henry, would have had to build him. And as far as we've seen in the story, there's no reason why that would be the case. To summarize, the only thing I disagree on with Daco is the fact that any connection to the crying child, especially, I mean, I still want Gregory to be his own character, don't get me wrong, but still I believe there should be a connection to the crying child with him. At least I'm hoping. Um, and I do agree with him that the robot idea is not only very, like, it is weak, but not impossible. And I have the tiniest bit of wiggle room for it, just the tiniest bit. Um, Only because I am curious. I don't want it to happen. Okay, let's be real on that one. I actually don't want it to happen, but I'm willing to, I guess, a stupid amount of an open mind about it. And I totally understand where he's coming from, because like I said before, twin sister theory, not a huge fan. So I, like, if like we're at that same wavelength in that sense, it's just two different theories. Not that I don't think he really likes that theory yet. I'll have to wait till he puts out his video on that one in particular, because I feel like he's gonna make a video talking about that theory. Um, I'm definitely not a fan of it. I completely understand why people like it and are drawn to certain conclusions of it, but if I had to debunk anything, I will debunk that. I will do it until the game tells me, no, you are also wrong. And that's that. That was totally worth it to mix Daco's video in there, because I felt like I was, I did not like coming across like I was trying to debunk MatPat. If anything, I was just like, oh, I see where you're going with it. but let me put my take in. That's literally what this video is, okay? Okay? This is not a debunk video of either video, okay? I do strongly suggest you guys go watch those videos. Once again, for context for this, and just because if you, especially if you clicked on this video to listen to more theories and stuff like that. I mean, you probably already seen these videos before you even found me. So I'm not trying to get a big head here, but go check those out for context while I'm talking. Um, and I think that's it. I am going to. Uh, I honestly have no idea what the next vlog video is. I think I might wait 2 weeks to think of one, unless something huge pops up. Because I try to do it either 1 week or 2 weeks, at least until I get a full backlog of pictures that I could use for the background. Um, until then, pay me an exposure by clicking that like button. Yes, that's the joke I'm going to use today. And like I said, if anybody has their own opinions, please leave a comment below. I will try my best to answer it in the next video. See you guys later. Good morning and good night.